episodes that are numbered from 1 to 100. Now remember, if you're new to the channel, you can go back to episodes 1 through 62 in the playlist. Multiple people are going back and looking at those episodes, so thank you. If you just want to see how I was thinking over the past many years building wealth through my simple path to wealth, to financial independence, which I consider being the year 2020 when I got to $1 million. That was my milestone, I guess, where I decided that once I got to $1 million, that would be my financial independent number per se, if that makes sense, because a lot of people in the financial independent community feel that once you get to a point where you can live off of 4% of your investments, hence the $1 million would pay me about $40,000, then you can say that you are financially independent. So I just use that as the milestone for, when I would become financially independent. And yet, as you guys know, I don't really need $40,000, but that's a good number that I think solidified the goal that I was trying to attain for about, 16, 17, 18 years. So, in this episode, I think I'm going to title this, Ask Yourself This, because we're going to continue on our conversation from a couple days ago. Episode 99 on Monday, for those of you that are watching real time, where I set the stage, remember, for how do you know you're doing the right thing with money? So I know a lot of you may be new to personal finance, right? You might be learning like I was back in 2003, 2004, and 2005, many, many years ago. And not much is different in the practices of money management. From a coaching perspective, when I talk to people about their money, there's not much that's different. Yes, we have to pay attention to what the markets are doing, etc. But overall, not much has changed from when people were saving years ago and how they're going to save in the future as well. Because as you guys know, many times it's not so much, as I talked about, what you're putting your money into, but your behaviors over time that matter the most. So I came up with 3 things for this episode. 3 things that you can ask yourself to determine if you're doing the right thing with money. So let's move on to number 1. But remember, I have my trigger. I almost forgot. The crystal trigger of the week. And I'm pouring water into the glass from a plastic bottle. Oh well, whatever, right? So, grab a beverage, sit back, and enjoy the episode. And above all, I hope you relax. 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 Somebody wrote me once and said that he felt like these episodes helped him at the end of the day relax and get his mind right with money. I don't know if that subscriber is still with me. I hope you are. But that always stuck with me. So every time I think about producing an episode, I picture you guys on your phone, running the episode, maybe putting it on your nightstand, or putting your earbuds in and just listening to somebody talk maybe this episode will be dropping in October. I can't remember. I'm a week or so ahead of schedule, but what does that mean? We only have 3 months left in the year to not only get our money right for 2024, for those of you watching this real time, but also to get our money right for 2025. So, if you're new to personal finance, this is a really great time. I want all of you right now to stop and think about 2 things. Number 1, wrapping up 2024. Ask yourself, how did you do? What do you need to do over the next 3 months as it relates to money to hopefully meet your goals? Do you have to cut back on spending? Do you have to pay down more debt? Do you need to put more in your mutual funds to get to the max, etc.? Right? We need to know these things, which is leading me up to these 3 questions that I have for you to ask yourself. In terms of if you're doing the right thing with money, because it's so important, again, to wrap up 2024. We have 3 months left. But at the same time, you need to be over here, forecasting into the future of 2025. All of you should be working on your builder budgets right now, and then you're going to release them in January. Okay, so for this episode then, ask yourself this: if you're doing the right thing with money. Number 1, do you know how much you spend during the year? Number 1, do you know how much you spend throughout the year? Many of you may have a lot of work to do. I think about money and I talk about money all the time, not only with you guys, but with coaching people on money, and I talk to my friends about money. We don't get into a lot of details, etc. Not like I do with you in an anonymous format as such as this show. But I'm surprised at how many people, even people that make a lot of money, may not really have a good handle on how much they're spending. They just clip along through the year hoping they're doing really well. Maybe they make $100,000 a year, $200,000 a year, and it's spend, 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 spend. So remember last time I talked about that Homeworthy show. Watch that show and ask yourself if you feel that the people that are displayed on that show really have a handle on their money. Most of them probably do. They're probably mega wealthy. But maybe some of them aren't. Maybe some of them are living paycheck to paycheck. Maybe they need their income to pay for their current lifestyle. See, my methodology has always been my income. The primary purpose is to fund, F-U-N-D, my future life. And I want you guys to think that as well. I know I've said that before on my channel, but if you're new, you may not have heard that. Think of your current income that you have right now from your job. Its primary purpose is to build an engine as large as it can be, and that engine will pay you money, probably more, as I've said before, than your current job. That day will come that your investments will be gaining interest, dividends, unrealized gains. And the dividends, of course, and the unrealized gains are really part of the net worth of your situation. In other words, you're not withdrawing the money, you're taking those earnings every year and they're actually just compounding within the mutual fund itself, right? But eventually then you say, okay, boom, like for me in 2025, I will know and I will share with you exactly what my ending balance is going into retirement. And just, I will be making a little is my beginning balance for the rest of my life, and it will be withdrawing from that. But if that money earns, let's say, $1 million, like, I've got 1.4, but to make it easy, if you have $1 million and the return for that year is 8%, how much money is now in that account? $1,080,000. So the 80,000 dividends, interest, and unrealized gains. Now some years it could be down and you might have a negative number, right? But you've got cash on the side. But that 80,000 then, minus if you need 40, you still have 40. You spent 40 for your life for that year, but you still have 40 that you put back into the engine. So a lot of people don't think that way. Most people do not think that way. They just take their income and they're like, oh, I'm making 120 grand a year. And they just spend it all. Yeah, they might be putting 3% into their 401k, but they have no real concept because they're too focused on today. I want you to be focused on today, but more focused on tomorrow. And that's what this show is all about. And so this first question then, I want you guys to ask yourself, if you've been watching my show, some of you may not know how much you're spending. And that's where your build a budget can come into play. And I want to share with you, when I was a guest on the Susie Orman Show in 2012, you can watch it on Amazon. My episode was from, again, 2012. The episode is called Gut Check, and I was on the How Am I Doing segment. You can scroll to the end of the episode and you can watch it. In 2012, I had a $200,000 net worth, as you know. And interesting, I think I shared this with you before, but the producer sent me the spreadsheet, and I put all my expenses down, etc. I put down my income, and then they built in macros to show you what the difference is. And I had an $8 difference. And on the show, Susie says to me, yeah, people might not be doing as well as they think they are because you only have $8 at the end of the month. But I had savings, like she encourages us to do, as part of my expense. I wanted it to net to zero, but I made a mistake in the numbers and it was a -8. Anyway, I thought that was very interesting, but I bring that up as an example because it's true. Multiple people would write into her show and not have a clue about how much money they're spending. And the producer told me that for most people it's an eye-opener. For them to be like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. Really? People have no idea how much they're spending. Is that you? I hope that's not you. But if it is, I want you to stop right now and have that awareness and do the right thing with money. And it starts with that awareness. And I want you to track your money and build your budget for the rest of 2024. And I want you to build a new budget for 2025. If you don't know how to do it, come back in a couple days. I'm going to talk about that. Number 2, in line with the question of asking yourself if you're doing the right thing with money is, do you have the knowledge to know what to do with money during the year? What is the best use of your money during the year? And, well, I'll get to number 3 in just a minute. So number 2 is, do you have the awareness to know what to do with money in the year? Like, what is the best use of the money? Most people, sadly, do not. Most people have no clue to understand what I'm saying right now. And if that's you, then listen up, right? Because I want you guys to have that awareness. And it goes like this. As I have shared with you, you need to know where you are. So number 1, you have to get get your finances figured out. How much money do you have coming in? How much do you have going out? Is there wiggle room in your budget, which we'll talk about in a couple days? If there is, you need to know where to put it. I can't tell you, right? I can't tell you unless I knew exactly your personal situation. Do you have credit card debt? Do you have an emergency fund, right? You need to have that awareness and know what to do. Maybe it's a blended approach of a little bit of each. That's what usually is the case for most people. And then you need to know also, what are your goals in the future? Are you 25 years right now? 25 years old? Are you 35? Are you 45? What is on your radar? What is on your horizon of things that you need to pay for? What are the big tickets, I like to call them? Do you have children that you need to pay for their college? Are you renting an apartment and you want to buy a home? You might be saving for a down payment on a home. Interest rates are starting to go down. So only you will really know where you are and what you have coming up. Yes, a financial coach can help you, but you need to be honest with yourself and sit down and say, these things are on my radar. So for 2025, it might be, oh wow, you've got credit card debt. How much? $5,000. Okay, can you get that paid down? Can you also save for a home at the same time? What's better? There may not be one right answer. Money coaches, such as myself, can only guide you towards what you think the options are, or what the options are, and what you might think the best option is for you. But you have to look in the mirror and ask yourself, what is the best thing for you to do with your money during the year that you're in? And for those of you that are living in 1 week, I want you to stop living 1 week to the next. You need to broaden that picture. You need to look at the month, but most importantly, you need to look at 12 months, again, which we'll talk about in a couple of days. Until you have that capacity to do that, you're going to be broke going forward. So for those of you that need that motivation, then let this help you, because I'm sure there are many people watching that have not quite figured that out yet. Maybe you don't know what the best thing is to do with money, so you'll have to buckle down, figure out where you are, what your spending is for number one. Number two, what is the best thing for you to do in this year? And by the way, you don't have to know everything right now, right? You just need to know, what do I need to do in 2025? Then you're going to ask yourself, as you get to the end of 2025, what do I need to do in 2026? And at the end of 2026, you're going to ask yourself, what do I need to do in 2027? That's what I did in 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009. I always had money at the top of my thought process, and I would see the vision of the year before the year came. So I would encourage you guys to do that as well. And number three, to wrap up today's episode, is, do you have the capacity to continue this type of thinking for 20 years? For 20 years. For 20 years. I know many of you watching right now, if you're young, you might be thinking that is a long time. And it is. Obviously, it's a long time. But do you know, most people, again, do not think this way. They don't think about 5 years into the future, much less a 20-year time frame. When we get to 2025, 20 years will be 2045. I want you to start thinking about who you are in 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029, 2030. Do you need to get your net worth from a negative net worth to a positive net worth? That may take 5 years, and that's okay. how do you then build on that in the next 5 years? And then the next 5. I mean, there could be some of you that are watching right now that are really on board, and I know that you guys are going to make it. If you're watching this channel, then you have that awareness already. And I believe in you, like I always say. So, most of you will have that capacity that are watching this show, but most people out there are not watching my show. They're not thinking about their money in terms of the security that it can buy. They're thinking about the material items that it can buy, and that's not where you need to be. So number 3, and to be reflective of last week just for a moment as I think about closing this episode, remember in my role play with Indiana Jones, the treasure hunter who was talking to his subconscious, he was conflicted, wasn't he? He knew he was a financial train wreck. He didn't have a job. But he, instead of listening to his subconscious and agreeing with his subconscious and admitting to himself that he was where he was, he chose instead to believe in a dream. He chose to believe that he would find the golden idol, the riches that would just be handed to him on a silver platter. And that doesn't happen for many of us. In modern times now, people are probably playing the lotto. I know somebody at work told me that she was playing the lotto, and I thought to myself, is that a good financial plan? And I knew she was kind of joking, but if you're wishing and hoping for money to come your way through some type of magical mutual fund that you think you can get into, or some type of investment that is going to give you higher returns than the norm, then sadly, you're headed in the wrong direction, in my opinion. And remember in that role play, I said you can't really do both. You have to finally say to yourself and ask yourself, what is the best thing I need to do with money? These 3 things that we talked about. Again, do you know what you're spending? Do you have the ability to know what you're doing in the year that you're in? And once you figure that out, do you have the capacity to repeat it over and over and over again? And so I'm going to leave you with that. To build wealth, it is a slow journey. This is not a quick fix towards riches. This is a slow and steady growth process towards being wealthy. And wealthy means you can pay for your expenses and live your life. It's not about material items. It's about experiences. It's about knowing that you have the capacity to support yourself without a job, and that you can truly then be reflective and insightful of what you really want to do with your time. It's all about time. It's not about anything else other than the time that you have. So with that, everybody, I will go ahead and close out this episode. Thank you so much for joining. If you like content like this, please give me a thumbs up. I would appreciate